Welcome back to the in.pencil podcast. I'm Adam,
I'm Jess.
and today we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Actually, so we'll just roll right into it. E3 happened, and I want to know
It
your
did.
thoughts. Yes.
My thoughts on E3 are, I think the first thing we can say is the pandemic has affected video games. I mean, in general, like they don't have many games ready yet. And people are like, oh, E3 sucked. Oh, there was nothing there. And it's like, yeah, we still have a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
Things got slowed down. The one of the things that people noticed is that there's no plans to do a Zelda 35th anniversary thing. And I think that's probably because of COVID. Like the Mario 35th anniversary happened because that was planned before COVID.
Right.
And I think they were going to work on the Zelda 35th last year, and it just didn't happen.
So they did. I think the Skyward Sword remake was announced at E3 this year, right?
It was announced when was that announced? That was announced in February.
Okay. All right.
Back
Because
at
I remember
the
seeing something about it. They just did like an update on it, right?
Yeah, they just mentioned it. They do have some Zelda stuff they talked about. They have like Age of Calamity's got some DLC coming out. Skyward Sword's coming out. That's like their big Zelda 35th thing. And they're doing a Game & Watch like they did with Super Mario Brothers. They're doing that for The Legend of Zelda as well.
That is cool. I kind of
It
want
looks.
that.
I've already pre-ordered it because it has Link's Awakening, the original Link's Awakening, which is hard to find these days. So, because you can get Link's Awakening DX on the Nintendo 3DS eShop, it's called the eShop these days. And you can get the new Nintendo's Link's Awakening on the Switch, but the original, this is like the first place you can get it.
Right. Yeah, that's a really cool announcement. I think that was probably my favorite thing that they announced.
Yes.
And then they updated, they released as if it's like gas or something. They released Mario Golf,
Yes.
what was it called? Mario Golf
Super Rush, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's out already.
Yeah, I did see a cool little playthrough of that on YouTube from one of my favorite YouTubers, and it looks pretty fun. I ordered it. I'm waiting for the physical copy.
I have not ordered it yet. I just haven't. I guess I should. Since you've got it, we could play it.
Yeah, we could. That would be good. I don't have my capture card with me again, but
it has. I saw the reviews came out, and it went from anywhere 5 out of 10 to 9 out of 10. So it's like such a range on reviews, and I think it's just what a Mario sports game always gets a wild range of views of whether or not people like it.
Yeah.
I love Mario Tennis Aces, and I know a lot of people don't like it. It had everything I wanted in a tennis game, a Mario tennis game, to be honest. It had a story mode, which was great, but it had also, you just get to play. There's practically no online play anymore because nobody's playing the online anymore, which is sad. But it's fun. I played every once in a while. But I think that's with Mario Golf Super Rushes. I wanted to see what more people said when they played it and got to play with other people online, how they thought it was working before I bought it, because it is a game that's really a multiplayer game.
I've been waiting for a Switch game to come out that I'll actually want to play. And the thing is, I have a Switch, but there's just not many games that I like to play on the Switch. Most of the games I like to play, I don't really play a lot of games to begin with. Most of the games I like to play are either on Xbox or PC. And I rarely play any games at all. But I bought a new laptop yesterday so that I could play some games. The Jurassic World Evolution 2, I think, was a product of E3 as well.
I believe so. The one where Jeff Goldblum is doing the trailer or something.
Yeah.
I forgot which E3 show. I did not get to see all the shows. I saw Xboxes. I saw Nintendo's, and I saw one or two others. I missed Square Enix, but apparently they didn't really have a good one, so it's not like I missed anything. Oh, I saw Ubisoft. I did see theirs too. So
I don't know what Ubisoft really has to offer, honestly.
they have this new Avatar game apparently coming out, but like they didn't really show anything. But they have Mario and Rabbids, which it's
Oh yeah.
the thing about E3, and I'm noticing this a lot, is the groups that are going to E3, because PlayStation doesn't go to E3 anymore and EA doesn't go to E3 anymore. So of all those who still go to E3, none of these companies have the fan base that Nintendo has. And Nintendo always goes last at E3. So that means they set themselves up to be the quote unquote winner of E3 very easily, because they threw out a WarioWare game, they threw out a new Metroid game, and they threw out a new Mario Party game. And everybody was like, this is the best E3. This is the best of E3. Because Xbox just threw out a bunch of CGI trailers. Or CG trailers.
Right.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I am excited about the evolution too, though. There's some pretty cool gameplay mechanics that are happening that have been upgraded. But anyway, that's a whole other tangent that probably wouldn't resonate with anybody. So
I mean,
that's my problem.
You love your Jurassic Park stuff.
I do, and the stuff that I'm interested in, most people don't really care about. So whatever.
Adam's like, I watch the Jurassic Park movies, I watch the TV shows, I play the games, I follow the Twitter.
Yeah. Even the sarcastic Jurassic tweets, which we talked about before.
Yeah. Like you've talked about, I think, every single Jurassic Park medium there is, because you're reading the book, I think, on the last podcast.
Yeah, I finished the books a few months ago. Yeah.
Did anybody like make more books of the Jurassic Park franchise?
They did do there's been fan fiction, obviously, but part of the Jurassic World. What's that?
Is it like slash fiction?
No, I don't know what that means, but no, probably not. It's probably just people writing stories about dinosaurs.
Do you know, like, one of the biggest sellers on on Amazon Books is like dinosaur love books?
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta look this up.
I'm adjusting my microphone if y'all can hear this.
That's fine.
So I apologize.
Amazon. Wait, what's it called? Dinosaur
love books or dinosaur romance. Like, there are only ebooks, and people make livings, like making like 60 to 80,000 a year on these things, like good livings.
Wet hot Allosaurus summer. Taken T-Rex.
I've never read any. I kind of like, should I get into this industry? Should I start making like this type of romance book?
Chuck's Dinosaur Tinglers. The Raptor King. Oh my God. Things you cannot unsee. Dr. Chuck Tingle's Complete Guide to Romance. Oh my God. This is disturbing. Dinosaur World 7. All right. Anyway, I don't know they did make a book called The Evolution of Claire, which was basically like a prequel story about Claire Deering, who was one of the main protagonists of Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom and yada. Ron Howard's daughter.
Bryce Howard Dallas. No.
Yeah, that's the one.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yep, that's the one. So they did make a book about her. I haven't read that one yet. I kind of feel like I'm not sure. I'm a little bit mixed on whether or not I should.
I feel like people forget, like, we don't care about the humans in this story. Nobody watches Jurassic Park for the great human interactions.
There are a few humans that I do enjoy in the Jurassic Park series. It's Ian Malcolm, and Ian Malcolm. Those are the ones that I enjoy. The rest of them are kind of disposable, in my opinion,
Yeah.
which was
Oh,
why Jurassic Park 3 was so terrible. But
life finds a way.
yeah, yeah, and there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think Jurassic Park also had like this, we talked about before, the parenthood aspect of it. And it felt like Jurassic Park 3 was trying to rehash that. It felt like Jurassic Park 2 or The Lost World. I don't know if it's actually called Jurassic Park 2, but it felt like the Jurassic Lost World was also kind of rehashing that. And Jurassic World was rehashing that. And I haven't seen Jurassic World 2 Fallen Kingdom
Right.
of the Crystal Skull. But it feels like they're like, okay, we have this plot and we're just going to keep doing the exact same plot over and over and over again, where we're going to have it's like about children and people trying to protect children. And I'm like, I just want to see dinosaurs eat people.
Well, and so they did release like a 5 minute prequel, not prequel, I guess Jurassic Park prequel trailer, not trailer, but like this basically a mini movie uh as part of the Fast and Furious 9. Like if you go see right now, if you go see Fast and Furious 9 for some reason, you'll see like a 5 minute mini movie about it's from Jurassic World Dominion. It's basically the uh, it's set 65 million years ago where they're showing all these dinosaurs in their natural habitat in their original time, but they have a Giganotosaurus and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which are fighting each other, which are two animals from two completely different time periods.
Yeah.
They're separated by probably a few million years. I don't know the science on it, but so I mean, that's
I
it's a
mean,
thing. It's a
we're
thing.
not we're not watching Jurassic Park for its accuracy of dinosaurs.
Well, yeah. So I haven't seen that mini movie yet either because it's only available to people who want to subject themselves to Fast Nine, or Furious Nine, or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Yeah, I
But
didn't want to subject myself to Fast One
I
or
didn't either.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Have you have you seen any of those movies, the Fast movies?
No, I didn't. I mean, I don't want to yuck on other people's yams or whatever that phrase is. So,
I've never heard that phrase before, but I don't like
oh,
it.
but here I do not understand the appeal of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Nor do I.
It
Nor do I.
went and it just like evolved into something weird. Every time I see a trailer of it, I'm like, this is hard for me to suspend disbelief.
I don't
Like,
understand what the point is, honestly.
I watch disaster movies all the time, and I'm able to suspend
Suspend, yeah.
disbelief on those. But these where they're like flying cars and they're landing on airplanes, and then they're falling out of airplanes and they're landing on the ground and taking off driving. I'm like, okay, come on. I'll watch a superhero movie, and Captain America can punch an alien and then not get his arm ripped off. Yeah, that's fine. That's normal. But I'm sorry. I'm gonna say you're trying to live in a realistic world in Fast and Furious, and you're just like not. Superhero movies, Jurassic Park, they don't live in a realistic world.
Mm,
But I feel like the Fast and Furious franchise is supposed to be in a realistic world, and it's just not.
right. I yeah. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I do like I like the movies now more so these days of the non CGI movies.
Right.
Uh,
I don't
but
understand the point in Fast Nine. But anyways, that was
that was a lot. So that
a
was
lot.
E3.
E3. There was our
Yeah,
E3 segment. So let me
yeah.
go ahead and pull that out. Uh, let's talk about John McAfee for a moment. Do you know who John McAfee is?
Okay, so back in the day, like we all did, I had the McAfee uh, something software, the free anti-spy or spy software, whatever the stuffy malware software, whatever he had. So we all had that, I think, back in the day because that was what everybody did. Then I realized McAfee was named after a person.
Yeah.
And then I realized he was a little out of his mind in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, he was. Um,
And I don't even know why he was in prison. I forgot.
tax evasion.
That was it. Oh, okay. Well, that's better than some people, I guess.
Well, that was the. I also don't know all the details, but what I do know, John McAfee, after he sold off his portion of the company, became very heavily involved in the Libertarian Party, and that's how I know him because of Libertarian Party. Um, yeah, I'm gonna read part of this article just to make sure I give some the proper context.
Man, the Libertarian Party cannot get someone famous who is not out of their mind, can they?
No, they can't. Joe fucking Exotic and well, anyway.
They need a new marketing team. They need, you know what the Libertarian Party needs? They need Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Well,
Or
no. They have what's his name? The guy from Jurassic Park, Lost World. Come on. The
Chris
guy.
Pratt.
No. The Lost World. The guy who plays who plays he's always in comedy movies. What's his freaking name? Oh God.
Jeff Goldblum.
No, not Jeff Goldblum. The Lost World cast. What is his name? What is his name?
George Takei.
No, I'm just gonna fill in space here while I look for this guy's.
I'm just going to say things. I'm going to name off a bunch of people. Ayn Rand.
No, it's not Ayn Rand.
Back from the Dead.
Nope, not back
to
from
give
the dead.
more terrible write more terrible books.
No, Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn is a huge supporter of the Libertarian Party.
Okay, I'm going to say something real quick.
What's that?
I forgot he was in that movie. If I listed every comedian who was in Jurassic Park: The Lost World, Vince Vaughn would have been the last one. Oh yeah, they have other people too, but we will go with Vince Vaughn first.
As is Big Boy from Outcast and Killer Mike. They're all pretty famous supporters of the Libertarian Party.
I was going to say also Penn and Teller.
Yeah, especially which one's the loud one? Teller.
Penn is the one who's
the obnoxious.
I think they both are libertarians, but
I'm sure they are.
The only time you ever hear Teller talk, he talks about magic history. That's the only thing.
Bullshit is an amazing series. I've seen enough of it, not all of it. But anyway,
unfortunately, the Libertarians do not have any current A-listers, I would say. I don't know if I would count Vince Vaughn as an A-lister anymore.
No, and I don't think he's very current either. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe honestly, I wonder if he retired. That would be wild if he retired and we just didn't know it.
I haven't seen him for a while, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it. Who knows?
We're looking.
All right, while you look up Vince Vaughn, I'm going to talk about John McAfee, okay?
Yeah, you do that.
All right, John McAfee. This is from the Daily Beast. I'm not sure what their political leaning is, but John McAfee, whose unusual life ranged from brilliant tech engineer to extravagant global fugitive to eccentric jailbird, was strangely reclusive before prison officials in Spain found him dead around 6 p.m. local time, hanging by the neck in his cell in an apparent suicide. After the 75-year-old received official word at 4 p.m. yesterday that he would be extradited to the U.S. to face tax evasion charges, McAfee reportedly asked jail workers at Barcelona prison Bryans 2, located in the Santa in Spanish, if he could be alone for a few hours in a cell, according to the Spanish daily Diario AS. Normally, a prisoner deemed suicidal would be obliged to be accompanied by another inmate, but McAfee was not considered by prison authorities to be suicidal. Penitentiary rules also allowed him the right to time alone. So that's like the official story, more or less. Back in October, he tweeted, while in jail, he wrote that he would never take his own life. He said, "I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine. He tweeted in October. He has inspired conspiracy theories in his death as well. On Wednesday, an ominous Instagram post with the letter Q appeared on his official account shortly after reports of his suicide have been made public. McAfee's lawyer, Javier Villab, told Reuters on Thursday that McAfee died out of pure fear of what his life would be like having to face U.S. charges. This is a result of a cruel system, she proclaimed, that had no reason to keep this man in jail for so long. U.S. prosecutors will likely ask the judge overseeing the tax evasion case to dismiss charges against McAfee in the light of his death. So there you go. Official story of suicide doesn't really jive well with the narrative. I don't know.
I don't know. I will say a few things about it. One, he has Twitter. He can access Twitter in jail.
It's a Spanish jail. They're nicer than, than.
That seems like, I don't know. I feel like if you go to jail, you should not be on Twitter for several reasons, and it's not like punitive. It's just like better for everyone's health if you
I'm sure
have
they
inmates
filtered
not.
his. I'm sure they filtered his tweets just like they do with mail, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could go through a bunch of McAfee's famous tweets and just point out the fact that I wouldn't trust anything he said in a tweet. So
Yeah.
the fact that he said, if I kill myself, sounds like a setup that he was planning on. I don't want to say this, but it almost sounds like it sets up a perfect opportunity for him to kill himself and still have his story live on. Because if he didn't tweet that and he just died by suicide, everyone's going to forget about him.
Potentially, yeah. I'm trying to figure out what he was in jail for to begin with in Barcelona. That I can't find.
Yeah, we're gonna learn some the Q stuff. I don't even want to get into QAnon stuff, but let's just face it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in. Apparently, what I'm seeing is he was arrested in Spain over tax evasion charges.
Yeah. McAfee was arrested in Spain last year for tax evasion. This is from ABC News. The Associated Press reported Wednesday that the Spanish court had ruled in favor of his extradition to the U.S. So I guess he was arrested in Spain for U.S. tax evasion. I don't know how that works, but okay.
I mean, countries just helping countries. There's probably more to it.
McAfee also ran to become the Libertarian Party candidate for president in 2016. I think he ran in 2022, but I think he lost the nomination in 2020.
Well, I doubt he ran in 2022 because that's in the future.
No, 2022 isn't also.
When was he put in prison?
What is it?
Oh, October 2020.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story.
It is.
We can get into conspiracy theories and all that, but here's the thing. When we say, oh, this person died by suicide, but they really didn't, we downplay how serious suicide is and how it can look like people who are okay and normal and like, I will not kill myself, how often they actually do, because they're trying to convince you, maybe they're trying to convince themselves that they won't kill themselves. But sometimes, especially in light of like him being extradited, maybe that was him saying like, I don't want to go to U.S. prison, because let's face it, U.S. prison we've already, I think, had at least one podcast episode on how terrible U.S. prison is, and the problems in the ethical, moral, and unconstitutional things that go on in U.S. prisons.
Yeah.
When we can get in a whole list of this, but we're not going to today. But the idea is like we pretend like nobody would actually die by suicide, and that you're weak if you die by suicide. When we have so many vets, how many vets per week die by suicide in the U.S.?
I think the average is like 22 a day. So
see, that doesn't even make sense to me. That's just like baffling. 22 vets a day.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
I
not
thought.
Sure if the number has gone down. Let me see. Average. Let's just do average suicide rate in the U.S. Just do U.S. Yeah, I can't find the right number immediately. Let me just Google it. Yeah, the veteran was 22 a day. Let me just do average suicide rate globally. So the World Health Organization estimates that each year approximately 1 million people die from suicide, which represents a global mortality rate of 16 people per 100,000, or one death every 40 seconds. It is predicted that by 2020, or this was obviously old, but the rate of death will increase to one every 20 seconds. So this is from befrienders.org, which was just the first thing that came up. And
who knows what it actually, I didn't actually look up how much it did increase in 2020 because
I'm
of
sure,
how
and
terrible
that's what I was
2020
thinking.
was.
That's what I was thinking, that COVID probably dramatically increased it. I'm not sure when this was obviously taken before 2020, the one I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
So I did want to point that out. Like, suicide is a dangerous thing, and if you need help, 1-800-273 talk. Let's see, talk is I forgot what it is. I think it's 8255. 1-800-273-8255. But it feels like every time someone dies by suicide, we want to say it was actually not. And it just takes away from how real suicide is. And like looking at some of the stuff since he died, some of the stuff that John McAfee was saying, it seemed like there was like a lot of red flags. Just in general, that he wasn't coping well with life. Like there was something going on, and I don't want to get into his story because I don't know, and it's stuff that seems there's a lot of stuff there. But I'm not saying he didn't get murdered. I'm just saying like we always want to think there's some big global conspiracy or some bigger conspiracy, and sometimes things just happen.
Yeah.
I don't know about Epstein. I don't know about McAfee, but I mean, I've been around people who have serious mental health problems. I've worked with them before, and it wouldn't shock me if they both died by suicide. And they just were not paying attention. Because here's the thing that people don't know. Jails and prisons don't always like, even if someone's on suicide watch, they don't always actually do their job well.
Yeah, as evident in this story where they left him alone. Well, the story says they left him alone. God knows what actually happened. There have been plenty of times where people have died in police custody or in prison where it's been attributed to suicide, and it was certainly not suicide. So,
but and so it's hard to tell. But I always get upset when we're like, oh, it wasn't suicide. It was clearly something else. And it's like, that is you downplaying suicide as if that's not how nobody dies by suicide unless they're really depressed and they're showing it. And that is not true.
The important thing about all this is context.
Yeah. And
situational context that goes around the situation. Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, what happened to him? If it wasn't suicide, we'll never know that it wasn't suicide. But most likely, my opinion is most likely it was. And it's sad. I don't know what was going on with tax evasion and all that. That's a weird reason to be in prison. That seems
in a foreign prison. Yeah.
Yeah, that there are a lot of things here that we should be worried about, but I don't think the IRS is killing people, because the same way that the mafia probably doesn't kill people who owe them money. You don't get your money from dead people.
Right. But you can imprison somebody for one thing and actually be holding them there for a different reason that may not necessarily be 100% legal. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, there's like the Al Capone type stuff.
I don't know what.
Well, that wouldn't be how they got Al Capone for tax evasion. I think it was tax evasion that they got him for. And exactly. Know what? That was the only way they could get him, because they couldn't tie him to anything else.
Exactly. Just like Snowden, if they ever got a hold of Snowden, probably try him on like
Not using his
under
blinker.
a traitor, like basically being like a traitor or betraying national security or something like that. But the reality is he simply leaked classified documents to the press that told everybody what was actually happening with government surveillance. So
Yeah, it makes you say they're like whistleblowers are safe unless they do it against the wrong people.
whistleblowers, the rhetoric is if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
But the third part of that rhetoric is if you say something, or if you see something, say something, so that they can shut you up about it before you say anything to anybody else.
Yeah. And
That's the full rule of thumb there for whistleblowers.
yeah,
Um,
it's unfortunate on that. And yeah, that's true. There could be more about John McAfee. We'll never know. That's
well, we might know. We might know. There may be something else that comes out. Who knows? Who knows? His wife is calling for a thorough investigation, so I don't know what that would entail, but I'm sure whenever the government investigates itself, it always finds itself to be, it always does it fairly. It always does it
Yes.
fairly and make sure, you know.
Yes. The
Just
government's
like,
really right. It's like, oh, we did such a great job.
yeah,
It's like the thing where there used to be a joke, a Harry Potter joke where Dumbledore says something and it's like 10 points to Dumbledore and he
right.
just walks on. If you know anything about Harry Potter, you get that, kind of get that. He just like randomly gives himself points because he can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how governments work. They're like, we did such a great job. Yay, go us.
We, the government, have conducted a thorough investigation on ourselves, and we find ourselves to be completely innocent in this situation where we're definitely not completely innocent. But, whatever.
Not to get into anything, and I don't really want to go down this road, but isn't it amazing that no matter who's president, the government is always the government in the same way?
Yeah, it is amazing. It's almost like,
almost
yeah,
nothing really changes.
yeah, it's almost like they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, and the same people get screwed over, and the same people still have good things. It's
And
like
the same idiots go through and take sides, and they're like, "Well, I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican." Okay, you're nothing. You're a pawn of the system.
Yeah, it's almost as if we've created to. Ooh, that is something I want to get into. Something else I just thought of real quick, and I know we've gone on so many
No,
tangents.
go for it. Go for it.
But this idea of like we created competing two sides to fight with each other, but the same system created the two sides, so it looks like we have to choose sides. And some people would say that is politics.
I've been saying that for fucking the whole system is set up that way. That's the whole purpose.
Because you see, we push
the more
one way, then we
infighting
pull.
you can create, the more infighting you can create amongst the populace. I don't know what the word for that would be, but the less attention they're paying. The more I'm fighting with you, the less I'm paying attention to the person who's holding the purse strings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will say that we're not saying like every single person in the system is bad. That there are some legitimate things that some people are trying to take away, rights people are trying to take away. That happens, yes. It's just that when you vote in the opposite side person, it doesn't seem like much changes all the time. Like those rights just kind of are like people fight over rights the government's like, we'll take care of it until people calm down and the government moves on.
As soon as you give a right away to the government in exchange for something else, as soon as you give away liberty in exchange for security, as soon as you give away freedom in exchange for comfort, you're never getting that right back. Like that, the government now owns that right. So
to go to something just as important,
yes.
The other day, like a week ago, I think, I finally watched a YouTube original documentary. I love watching documentaries, and this one I saw was a YouTube original, and I was like, I'll try it out. And it's called The Boy Band The Lou Pearlman Story. If you know who Lou Pearlman is, he's the guy who created, in Orlando, Florida, Backstreet Boys. And then a few years later, he created NSYNC.
Yeah.
Then he created O-Town, I think LFO, Innocence, some of these other bands. And I can't. Some of these you may or may not remember to various degrees, and there are a few other bands he helped.
I do remember
create.
LFO and O-Town. I don't know who Innocence is, but
They were
okay,
all girl
continue.
group that I think Britney Spears was in at one point.
What?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know about them either.
Okay.
But the whole story is about Lou Pearlman was a con man who did a lot of cons. He pretended to have his own. I'm going to spoil some of this documentary if you wanted to hear about it. But so just FYI,
Yeah.
you have to have YouTube Premium to watch this documentary, which I have, so it worked out. But he created a fake airplane company and got people to invest into it, their retirement into it. And it was a pyramid scheme.
What?
And he took pictures of it by taking models and like shooting the models by runways at perfect angles to make it look like actual airplanes.
What?
That was part of where he got his money to create the bands Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, which are the two I'm going to talk about.
What the hell?
Yes. He created Backstreet Boys. They got super successful. Then he decided to create NSYNC. And the reason he created NSYNC was simple. He said, somebody else is going to create a Backstreet Boy clone. It might as well be me. And then he pitted them against each other.
Oh my God. That's
so
hilarious.
That whole like, I'm a Backstreet Boy fan. I'm an NSYNC fan. I think boy bands suck. That was all him. He created, like Adam and I grew up where they were like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, that we were in high school at the time where this was all big. And you were either one, the other, or neither. And it was basically this one guy had created this, told you, here are your three options. You think what you want. You think you have your own choice on this. And we didn't. He just created them. He created these options where you were either pro Backstreet Boys, pro NSYNC, or maybe you were pro nobody. And he did it, and he made a lot of money, lots of money, so much money. They don't even know where all the money is to this day.
It's insane.
Like he died while in prison. He finally got arrested, put in prison, and died in prison years ago. And so this whole thing, it like had members of all these bands, except for LFO. There are three members in LFO. Two have died, unfortunately, and the other one is not a good guy, apparently. Like speaking, he's not the QAnon supporter. I think it's the dude from Backstreet Boys who's like heavy into QAnon. Brian, I believe, not Brian. Maybe it's Brian. I think it's Brian.
I don't know any of the names.
I'm trying to remember. Brian and Kevin, I think they're cousins or something. I looked this up one time. I'm not the best at Backstreet Boys because all my friends, I didn't really care for these bands, but all my friends liked NSYNC. So I was just like, okay, I'll be an NSYNC.
Not all your friends, because I was your friend.
No, that's true. All my friends who had a dog in the fight in the boy band game were NSYNC fans. So I was like, okay, NSYNC's nice and all that. I did recently go back and listen to their first album because I was like, what was this like? I'm trying to get back into, I was like, I watched this documentary. I want to get back into that. Boy, those songs sucked. Yes, I hate to say it.
Yeah, they're atrocious.
They're not how I remembered. I remember them to actually being better than they were.
They weren't.
And I just like, man, these songs are not good. They look like they have the potential because all the music, all the people can sing really well. The lyrically, it's just not written well, or musically, it's not written well. It's just like off. And maybe it's because I'm looking at it 20 years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole con, like it was all started as a con that a pyramid scheme gave us boy bands. A pyramid scheme gave us TRL. Because TRL was invented because of the boy band music videos.
Yep.
That whole 1995 to 2005 period of that age of the boy bands, which really was all created by one guy off a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And that is a wild story. I only listened to the first NSYNC album when I said I went back. So maybe the later ones where he's not involved, because spoiler alert, they sued him and got him kicked out of their management because he was screwing them out of money.
Yeah.
tell as old as time. A band makes a lot of money, has a lot of fans, and makes like $10,000 a year.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. Same thing was happening to the guys from NWA when what's his face was ciphering off their money, not giving them their fair share of their contract and everything.
Same thing happened to TLC.
Yep.
It's tell as old as time, but that's I guess we can continue segueing into the music industry of the late 90s, early aughts of fame.
Yeah, you know what band was really good in the late 90s and early aughts? Blink-182. And in this week's episode of Blink-182 news, because it seems to be a recurring topic.
I'm waiting, Adam, for you to do your full the history of Blink-182.
Oh, I need to do that. Yeah. Well, it might end up in on a sad note here because because Mark Hoppus, want to make sure I read his tweet properly. Want to make sure I do the good thing here. Let's see. Don't go anywhere. Wait, just wait. It's coming. Mark Hoppus posted this tweet for the threat. I will try again to read. For the past 3 months, I have been undergoing chemotherapy for cancer. I have cancer. It sucks and I'm scared. And at the same time, I'm blessed with incredible doctors and family and friends to get me through this. I still have months of treatment ahead of me, but I'm trying to remain hopeful and positive. Can't wait to be cancer free and see you all at a concert in the near future. Love you all. So that really sucks. And I was thinking about it. I haven't seen very many celebrities who have come out and said they had cancer before, which in a way, I'm glad that he has such supportive people like around him to give him the confidence to be able to do that. But also it kind of makes me nervous because if he's announcing he has cancer, that means it could be setting him up for he might just be letting people know that in a few months if he's not around anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So then if you look at the tweet and all the replies, there were a ton of people who were posting their own photos and stuff and talking about their experience with the cancer. So it's really just a shit situation all around.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sucks. Tom DeLonge, who was the other guy from Blink-182 that people might remember, said, let's see, he posted a tweet as well that said, I too have been aware of Mark Hoppus's cancer diagnosis for a while now. And to add to his own words that he used that day, or he used today, I would also like to say he's strong and a superhuman who is pushing through this difficult obstacle with a wide open heart. We have his back. So that's, yeah. So that sucks. That just fucking sucks. I haven't seen many other celebrities, any other people that are like famous in any way that come out and say they have this. So
yeah, usually that's, and I mean, I get it. I get it's a private matter and he doesn't have to tell us. I think back to Chadwick Boseman, who died, and then it came out afterwards that he had been fighting he had cancer for 5 years.
Yeah.
And he'd been going through it for 5 years and nobody knew because he kept it private.
Who is that?
Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther.
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about. I never watched that movie, but I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
As you may have noticed, Adam's not exactly super into superhero stuff, apparently.
No.
You used to be into, didn't you used to be in Spider-Man or something?
No.
That wasn't you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, never mind.
No.
Oh well. I thought you were. Maybe that was someone else.
Why
do you always wear underoos? I don't get that.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
I'm just gonna be honest here. No joke. It wasn't until Captain America: Civil War where Tony Stark calls Peter Parker underoos, that I knew what underoos were. I actually had to look it up because I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Is it just underwear?
Yeah, I think it's a brand of underwear. I was like, what
Oh,
is
okay.
underoos? What does that even
Okay.
mean? But then it's dumb. I didn't know it. The weird things that you don't know until you know them. Like,
Yeah,
you think in my 30-something years of life, I would have learned that word at some point.
I've heard it before, but yeah. So the fact that well, first he posted on Instagram a picture of him sitting in a doctor's office, like, yes, one cancer treatment, please. And then it's like some sort of like sarcastic thing, but it was like, no, this is like legit. It fucking sucks. So, really worried about the fact that he made it public, because that could mean one of two things. It could mean he's either looking pretty good or not looking good at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, and even if he gets through this, we don't know what that means in the long term. Like, cancer can really mess with you, obviously.
Yeah. But at the same time, there was a new song that came out with him on it, and he sounded really good on it. I'm not sure when it was recorded, but it was with I can't remember the name of the group now. There was another punk band. If you minute, I'll find it. But he did have like a new song came out with him this week on it. It is Arrested Youth and Mark Hoppus, Finding My Own Way. And actually, if you listen to the lyrics to that song, it's pretty relevant to the situation. So, yeah. Anyway, so that is the next topic we needed to get through.
We're just going through topics. We're just going down the line.
We've had a lot to go through.
It feels like a lot's been happening in our field.
So while we're talking about shit experiences and death, I watched The Good Place all the way through.
Yay! Adam finally watched The Good Place.
And it ties into liminal spaces, which I wanted to talk about as well.
Oh, yes. So here we are getting to the part of the podcast where we talk about Good Place spaces. No, wait. Good Place liminal space.
So do you know what liminal spaces are?
Above subliminal spaces. And below, I guess, superliminal spaces. Superliminal is the name of a video game, I think, right?
I don't know.
Okay, you tell us what liminal spaces is, because
there's this subreddit, right, with it just shows like these pictures of these different places, right, and all of them have like this empty and eerie feeling to them. Oh, Superliminal. Yeah, we haven't played it yet. We need to play that.
Yeah, this is the game. This is the game we talked about in a previous podcast, and I just showed Adam a screenshot of it. And I was like, oh yeah, that game.
Sorry.
Anyway, sorry.
That's not one of the video games I was tracking for E3. So liminal spaces are like an empty doctor's office, or like an empty waiting room, or like places that like you see in pictures that seem oddly familiar, even though you haven't actually ever been there, because there's like, it could be because there's a set of like uniformity, like every dentist office waiting room kind of looks the same. But some of the photos are like really creepy. And there's this whole series of photos called the back rooms that shows like these abandoned office spaces. Well, they're abandoned spaces that don't have any furniture in them at all. But like people who look at the photos feel like they've actually like been there before, even though they haven't. So there's this weird like metaphysical abstract property to them that makes you feel like, you know what that place is or where it is, even though you haven't ever been there. Like an abandoned mall. Like most malls look fairly similar to one another. So anyway, it's just a really cool thing. But it also talks about like they're supposed to be like spaces of transition. So like a passageway or a hallway in a hotel, right? You're transitioning from like the outside world into like your hotel room. So it's like a spaces of transition. A doctor's office is a space of transition because, like with Mark Hoppus, he's probably in a waiting room, and then what happens to him when he gets into the doctor's office, he doesn't know, right? Just like whenever you go in for, a checkup or whatever, you don't know what's actually going to happen, right? There's always an air of uncertainty, right? or like
Yeah.
anytime you're waiting for like the next thing to happen, like another chapter in your life. Like those are supposed to, those like those are, I guess, more emotional or psychological um, versions of like liminal spaces. So it's this really cool concept, and I just realized like I mean, I guess everybody's kind of familiar with it, but this is the first time I've seen like a name attached to it. So I thought we would talk about it.
Yeah. And as we said, like subliminal, you know that phrase probably if you don't know the term liminal spaces. And if you know some video games, superliminal.
Yeah,
So if there's a super and a sub, then there must be a liminal. And I never really thought about it before you brought it up, like the name for it. Like what would be, if it's subliminal, what is liminal?
right.
Like,
It's pretty cool.
uh,
So anyway, the Reddit, the Reddit page is it's kind of trolly because it's Reddit, but there were some interesting posts on there and play in places that people post. Um, it's not very so a lot of it's tied with like culture too. So like people from Russia will post these places that they feel like are liminal spaces that, and it's places that will resonate with you, right? So if you see like if you were to just go into like Opera Mills Mall in Nashville, like at midnight when it's like completely abandoned and take a picture, right? And then post it up there, it would feel like most people would be able to, even if they've never been to Opera Mills Mall, they'd feel like they've been in that mall before because it has like a sort of familiar feeling to it.
yeah.
But if you do the same thing with a place like that in like Russia or China or something like that, it won't resonate with an American the same way because the architecture and the scenery and everything is different. Even the lighting is different. Like it's just, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think back if when Adam and I were in school, they were building a lot of new schools in our hometown area, and we went to Redacted High School, uh, and they built another Redacted High School
Right.
nearby, and or middle school, I don't remember, and they built like 3 or 4 schools, and they looked identical.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd never been in any of the others, but I bet you it looks almost the same as Redacted High School, which I went to.
Yeah.
Home of the pterodactyls.
That town used the exact same, basically the exact same blueprint and everything. It was the exact
Yeah,
same school. They just copied and pasted it to another location.
yeah. They
Yeah.
like got a 2 or 3-for-1 deal with the architect, I believe.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and you could see it like the structure and everything. And I think this is a common thing that probably school systems do, to be
Mm.
honest. Because if you go through any town and you see schools, they sometimes look a lot alike. And uh, just this idea of like, yeah, that things look similar, and you be maybe you were in this maybe you were in all those spaces at the same time.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I don't know. There could be like some sort of spiritual connection that draws people to think they've been to places before they haven't actually been. But I don't know.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
it's a very interesting thing that I love the terms we get into, like all the things that we see and do that we don't even think about that are there, and they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So The Good Place was really good.
yes,
It was really
it
good.
was a good place.
It was a good show about The Good Place. Uh, I enjoyed. All right, so now that I've seen it, I highly recommend if you haven't seen it to go see it because um, I enjoyed all the how like when you mentioned that like there's a lot of philosophy intertwined. I was like, okay, okay, fine. There's a lot of philosophy. There's a lot of philosophy. My dude's favorite philosopher is Immanuel Kant, and it's like there are some
Yes,
legit philosophy lessons within that show.
yes.
But
Uh,
um, yeah, even stuff
I
about um, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I remember talking to Donnie. As we said, Donnie got me into it. Um, and one of his favorite episodes was the trolley problem episode, which is such a funny and disturbing. And how on earth did they get that on network TV?
Yeah,
Because that seems like that's a little too disturbing for what they would put on a network TV thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
I
did
don't want
well
to
with
get into too
explaining it.
much.
They did well with explaining it.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't want to spoil anything either because
yeah.
it was. I'm glad that like you and Donnie didn't spoil it for me.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I
I
tried.
don't think I don't think Donnie was actually able to watch it to the end, was he?
No, he was not.
That sucks.
He he died less than a month before the finale
Yeah, that
came out.
sucks.
Yeah.
Um, it was terrific. Uh, and then the comparison to the Buddhism theory of death at the end of the show,
Yes.
I think that's probably the most accurate depiction of what death is actually like. Um, but yeah, so 10 stars for that. For being a network, mass produced comedy that they did a really good job with actual intellectual conversations and talking about things in a way that was humorous but also um, meaningful. So yeah,
No, and it was an NBC Thursday night comedy, which, if you remember, Thursday night comedies on NBC in the '90s were all these major like Friends and Frasier and
yeah,
like super large comedies. And then in the aughts and teens, they changed it a lot to a different type of comedy where you had like your Parks and Rec, you had your
yeah.
The Office, and then you even had like Community, and The Good Place was on Thursday night comedies for a while, which this like, as I heard someone say, more elitist type comedy, like that nobody watches but a certain group of people. And it's so funny, like, oh yeah, I did like Parks and Rec, and I did like Community, and I did like The Good Place, and there was a group of us who watched it together
Yeah.
online, and nobody else did.
I don't like Community. I've tried Community. I don't like it. But Parks and Rec, I love Parks and Rec, and now I love The Good Place.
So
Um,
we have to explain. I don't know if we've talked about your introduction to Community. I don't know if you remember this.
I don't know. Go ahead.
So Adam's first time ever watching Community, if I remember correctly, he came over to my house and I was watching it. Uh, and it was the episode. It was season 3, episode 4, I think, which is the one where they have all the different timelines. Now, most people, if you have not watched Community, you may not know this episode. And this episode was just loved by the fans, but not really well received by people who aren't fans of the show at the time. If you've ever seen the one where it shows Donald Glover holding a pizza box and fire, this meme where there's fire everywhere and someone's trying to put out the fire and he's just standing there like, what happened? That is from this episode. So,
Okay. Yeah, I do
that,
remember that. And I thought it was fucking stupid.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that almost got Community canceled because all the fans of the show really loved that episode, but everyone else is like, what the heck is the show doing?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was a very divisive one. But if you've seen the meme online,
So
almost
really, it's your
everybody.
fault I don't like Community because you decided that would be my gateway into that show and it didn't
We
work.
didn't know what that episode was going to be. We should have got you in on Modern Warfare, which is the paintball episode, the first one, which was directed by Justin Lin before he went on to direct, I think he directed Fast and Furious movies.
Oh boy. Here we go.
And then they did a second episodes of paintball the next season, which were directed by the Russos before they went on to do Avengers movies. So like,
Okay.
this is how some famous action movie directors got their start, was on Community, of this little Thursday night comedy.
I just feel like so my biggest issue with that show, and I think most modern TV shows, is it's too try hard. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a lack of authenticity that I mean, I might just be biased,
Yeah.
but I feel like every time I try and watch a new show, I try watching The American, on Amazon. Have you seen it? It's about like
No, I have not.
Russian spies living in America.
Uh,
I watched like one episode. It was too try hard. I stopped watching it. Same thing with Ozark. I tried watching Ozark, couldn't get into it. I love Jason Bateman. I loved him in Arrested Development, and then I like all of his movies. But in Ozark, I hated it. I watched it for one episode, and I was like, this is too fucking try hard. Same thing with what was the show I just mentioned?
Americans?
Yeah, The Americans. I don't know who the fuck is in that, but Like I try watching these shows. People are like, "Oh, these shows are great." I I can't get into them. Sorry.
I like there are not many shows I watch and I'm like, I'm not gonna do this after people have recommended. The last two I remember were uh someone recommended Breaking Bad. I never started it, so
I never
I
did
don't know.
either. Yeah.
But we were recommended House of Cards back before we learned Kevin Spacey was a creep.
Yeah.
Uh, and we watched the first episode. So I watched this first episode, and it looks like, and he gets screwed over politically or something. He's like, we're
Yeah.
going to have to stay up all night and think about this. And he's just like smoking a cigarette. And he's like, we're just going to have to spend all night thinking about this. And it's like, first of all, you're a politician. You're like a terrible human who's a politician, and you didn't think you get screwed over.
Yeah.
That's on you. You do not show confidence that you know what you're doing. You look like a kid who just got into politics and like, I can't believe I got screwed over.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so stupid. And he's like, we're going to stay up all night thinking about what we're going to do. And it's like, shouldn't you already be like 3 steps
Strategizing.
ahead of this?
Yeah.
I do not understand why you need to stay up all night smoking a cigarette thinking about how you're going to get. I don't know. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
I liked House of Cards until the episode where he got shot and then he survived. And I was like, okay, I'm over it. Like I stopped watching after that.
Yeah.
So whatever happened after Kevin Spacey came out with his little whatever the fuck happened, whatever. I didn't want. Yeah.
I feel like in hindsight, I was the smart person for not supporting a Kevin Spacey project there. Go me.
I mean, potentially.
Yeah.
But
And then the other one I never got into was I watched one episode of Black Mirror, and I thought it looked perfect, like the type of stuff I would like.
yeah.
But the episode I watched, which was about going into virtual reality into a horror haunted house or something, and it did a double fake out something that was a very cliched. It did a very cliched ending, like the big wrap up of the ending was something I've seen done so many times before
Yeah.
that I was like, I couldn't watch anymore because I was like, there's nothing original about this. This is supposed to be original and really get into stuff. And I'm like, they're just using old tropes.
Right.
And they're not even like what I liked about Community. Community uses a lot of tropes, but it's making fun of the tropes and it's teaching you the tropes. I think you have to watch, to me, watching Community in a certain way is the way you watch it, which I think is why not many people got it, because it's not a great show unless you watch it a certain way, which I will say that sounds elitist, but it also is like, well, Dan Harmon's not known for his wide appeal.
Right.
Dan Harmon created Community. He also created the Sarah Silverman Show. He also created Rick and Morty.
I don't like any of those shows. So
I never got into it. I don't know why so many people love Rick and Morty. I watched it. I was like, it's okay. It's a comedy.
I really don't understand why the fuck do so many people like Bob's Burgers? I have no idea.
I don't get that either.
Yeah.
To me, I will say though, to me, the best cartoon overall, if you count the from start to finish, to me, it's Futurama.
I agree. Futurama, King of the Hill.
Oh yeah, King of the Hill.
Those are my
King of the
top
Hill.
two.
The problem King of the Hill had, of course, was it got shuffled, and it really the last few seasons it never had a good finale, which sucks. Futurama got its finale 3 times.
Yeah.
And King of the Hill deserved to have a final, like at least half season, and you can get into all the stuff that happened to King of the Hill of how it got screwed over for Family Guy, which was literally running the same jokes over and over again. The Simpsons, which is literally running the same jokes over and over again. American Dad, which at the time was literally running the same jokes over and over again. I don't know if it still is.
But it was Bob's Burger that took their spot on on Sunday nights.
And people love it. I'm like, nah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into one more topic and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
What do you know about Windows 11 so far?
Oh, whoops. I think I was muted. Well, let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 windows in my house. I don't think I counted them all, and I don't know how you would exactly count windows. But so I know nothing. I don't have a PC. I only have a Mac, so I have not.
I'm gonna nerd out just a little bit here for a moment.
I said I don't have a PC. I have a Mac. I don't know.
Microsoft had a version of Windows 11 leak like a week and a half ago, and all these
Oh
guys
my
downloaded it and installed it and ran YouTube videos about Windows 11, the build that they had. They were showing like the differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11, which are kind of minute in all honesty. And then they got pissed off because people were downloading it, but I think they intentionally, like, the theory is they like intentionally leaked it to hype themselves up for their big press release. Then they come out, they do this big video press release. It's like really early in the morning, and they Appleified their announcement. I think it was like over an hour, and it was terrible. Like the actual
God.
presentation of the whole thing was absolutely terrible. They tried to do what Apple did, where they had different like software technicians talking about different aspects of the operating system and how it looks nicer this way and how there's a glass interface here, and they move the start menu to the middle of the screen and all this stuff. And so it was, most of the presentation was about aesthetics. Very little of it about anything technical at all. And the way they presented, it was like they were trying to be an Apple keynote, like one of the COVID Apple keynotes where they're going where like, Tim Cook or whoever else is going around and like actually like being entertaining, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
engaging. It was not engaging at all, this Microsoft thing. And I think it's pretty funny. But I mean, Windows 11 looks fine. I have a
Yeah.
Windows computer here, but
They they should have spent the middle part of that presentation talking about Bill Gates. And like what the heck is going on with him, and why did Melinda Gates divorce him?
they spent more time making digs at Apple during, or trying to make digs at Apple during the entire thing. They were like, no other operating system offers you this functionality. And it's like being able to take Windows, not Windows the operating, but like actual Windows on the computer, and like put them into like an arrangement and like save the arrangement, or like minimize the arrangement and have it there for you later on. No other computer or no other operating system, which is, by the way, a Linux functionality. No other operating system allows you to plug into an external monitor in the same way as ours. Like, but did you see Apple's presentation where you can basically just switch between the iPad and the Mac seamlessly using the mouse now with the new operating system? No other operating system does that.
Oh,
It was just very try hard, and they were digging at Apple basically at every chance they could. They're like, we welcome iMessage and iTunes and everything else on Windows. Like, yeah, well, you also have Office and Microsoft Edge on Macs. So there's a bit of, you know, cross functionality there.
yeah.
But anyway,
It's always funny when these giant ultra rich companies are like making fun of each other. Again, they're trying to you pick sides.
yeah,
You are
it's
either a Microsoft or an Apple fan.
that's exactly it.
You are DC or you're Marvel Comics. You're Democrat. You're Republican. You're Backstreet Boys. You're NSYNC.
It's
You're
exactly
one or
it.
the other. You can't be both. Most of us are both. I have a Mac computer is what I use, but you know what? I can't do games on it. Like Apple
Yeah,
gaming sucks.
yeah, it
Uh,
does.
and
Yeah,
Excel sucks. I love Excel. There's a lot of work stuff I do with Excel. It just sucks on a Mac.
yeah.
Like it's not as good as it is on Windows. Most of us really don't care. At the end of the
Just
day,
turn on
we
my.
just want to we just want to have some fun and be happy. I'm not I play Nintendo games because I like The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on it consoles every generation. So I picked Nintendo. I didn't pick Nintendo because I think it's the better company. I picked Nintendo because it had the games I wanted. But I think a PlayStation 5 or Xbox is fine. So I don't know why these companies like are pitted against each other.
I just
And I don't
think
think Nintendo is pitting against Xbox or PlayStation anymore.
I think there's a role for uh like Microsoft's role has always been to be a business and professional operating system. They do Excel, they do Word, they do PowerPoint. That's
And they
their
do
role.
them really well.
That's their role. But as soon as they try and branch out of that I mean, they do gaming really well too. But as soon as they try and branch out of that and become what Apple is, which is more creativity, Final Cut Pro, Photoshop, you know, then and then when they change the presentation style to match Apple's, as if it doesn't work as well.
If they made a laptop that was literally like this 13 inches or so, and its only job was to do Microsoft Office, that's all it did. You create, you save, and it has internet capabilities, like you can email. But it was just Microsoft Office, and it was like $100.
Yeah.
I would probably buy that.
Oh
because
yeah.
that is really great, and it's just a very dedicated work computer.
Well, that's exactly what Chrome is. The Chromebook. It's a cheap Google Chrome OS, which is a Linux-based operating system, and its only job is internet. Like it has Chrome installed, and then you install Chrome extensions for everything else. Like there are Chrome extensions for all the Chrome Office things, like Docs and Sheets and everything else, and then that's it. That's all it is, and it's very cheap. They're like $200 laptops. They have like zero storage, very minimal RAM because you don't do anything on them.
Yeah, I would like just a Microsoft one like that, and you don't need much because any file you save is like.
Well, once you have OneDrive, you're good to go because you can save in the cloud.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, even I would like you could save it on the computer, but you don't save that much on the computer because you're not storing like pictures. You're just storing like very small things.
Yeah.
None of it's super large. It's not gigabytes worth of. It would take a lot of things you would have to save to hit a gigabyte.
Yeah.
Excel does not. I mean, I guess some people. I should say like the type of Excel sheets I'm working on are in the megabytes and not even 100 megabytes.
Right.
But I'm sure some get pretty high because of what Excel does. Like just an Excel computer would be awesome. Because there's a lot. If you've ever used Excel, for those of you who are listening who love it, Excel can do pretty much anything that you want it to in a lot of really cool ways. And I've used it for so many things in previous jobs. I created so many things just using Excel and learning Excel, and it worked great.
Yeah.
And you can make games on it. I was in my free time, I worked on a game that I never put out.
In Excel?
Yeah, in Excel. I was going to make an Excel game. It was a sequel to a calculator game I was making in high school.
Where is this? Why do we not have it?
Neither got completed. I will have to. I don't have Excel. Again, that was on a Windows, and now I have a Mac, so they don't really work as well. But maybe someday I'll complete it, or maybe I should do it in like Google so we can put it online. I gotta learn. Maybe I'll learn a little bit of coding, and we can put it on our website. This little stupid game.
That'd be cool. All right. So yeah. Windows 11, Mark Hoppus, Liminal Spaces, good place. Got through a lot tonight.
And hold on. I'm making a lot of noise. Sorry. Today's
Joe Biden.
Today's word of the day was try hard.
I'm telling you, if they want to come at the government, they're going to have to come more than with just 9mm and shotguns, because we have jets and nuclear weapons. Okay, we're the government. That's kind of what he said. Anyway, Joe Biden.
I keep hitting my mic, so that's not very ASMR.
No, it's not. It's fine. It's very relaxing to people. All right.
So, thank you for listening to the in.pencil podcast.
Yes, I've been Adam.
And I've been Jess. And if you hate ASMR, I'm sorry, please. We will be back next time not doing ASMR.
I don't even know if ASMR is the right acronym, or is it AMSR? I don't remember. Honestly, I forget.
Oh, crap. Now I don't know either. So anyway, we will be back next time in normal voice, and probably exasperated voice at times. And just remember, it's about the insider versus outsider. That was like 2 seasons ago for us.
I know. Now we're about divisiveness is what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Each season has its own thing. But we will eventually. I'll upload my video that I was doing that I've been talking about for like the past 3 podcasts to YouTube.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
Still haven't uploaded it. I got a new recording device, new way to record video games. So,
did you?
Well, yes. So I got a Retron 5, I should say.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Adam and I talked about this. I think Adam, you have one as well, don't you?
I do, but it's not with me where I am at the moment.
No.
It is in a storage unit in Tennessee.
Yeah, so I should do a review of it for a game console that came out like 7 years ago. But so far, I have played Super Mario World and Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Land 2. A lot of Super Mario games were nearby that I could test on it. But maybe talk a little bit more about that in the future.
Yes.
And that's
you could do a Retron 5 review on.
I could do a review, and I do plan once in November. The goal is I will do an unboxing of the Zelda Game and Watch.
I need to order that as well.
Yeah, and play some Zelda, and I'll always play Zelda. Probably won't be putting all the Zelda playing that I'm doing on the interwebs, but some of it will get on the interwebs.
Yeah.
And maybe Adam and I will do a playthrough at some point where we do a quick game or play some Mario Kart. We should do that sometime.
Yeah.
Talking Mario Kart.
Yep. All right. That's it for today. Thanks for listening.
Yes, maybe we'll cut out all that ASMR stuff.
No, I won't. It'll stay in. I'm not editing any of this.
Oh boy, this is gonna be wild because I know there are a few times where I said the wrong thing and some of you probably got confused. Because I'm pretty sure I said I have a Windows and not a Mac at one point.
I don't think you did. Just to be clear, you have a Mac and not a Windows.
Yeah, I have a Mac and not a Windows, but I thought I said the opposite, and then I went to correct myself, and I think I screwed it up again. So I don't know. We don't know what we're doing in here.
We're not even scripting any of this. So
yes, we did have some notes, but
yeah, we did.
We went way off those notes with Jurassic Park and boy bands.
Yeah, that was true.
I was like, oh. Okay, anyway.
All right. Finally, I've been Adam.
I've been Jess.
And thanks for listening.
Yes. Till next time.
Life is not written in ink. We change, we grow, we make mistakes, we learn, and eventually we fade away. Life is written in pencil. Thank you for listening to the In Pencil podcast.